Hi, I'm Larry again, and I'd like to talk a little bit this time about what supplies you need for plastic canvas. The first one, obviously, is plastic canvas. Now, here's a piece of canvas. I already started sewing something on it. These come in large sheets, and if you see my other videos, I show you the whole sheet. It's about this big. And you can cut them down to size for your project. So in order to do plastic canvas, you need plastic canvas. The second essential thing you will need is a needle. Okay. Now, you have to get the needle that is going to fit with the plastic canvas. This is 7 mesh. Now, 7 mesh means there are 7 holes per inch. And this is called a 13 needle, and this seems to work very well. You want a needle that's going to give a little bit of resistance when it goes through the hole, because if it doesn't, it'll just fly through the hole and completely you'll lose it. And of course, you don't want one that's too big for the hole for obvious reasons. The next essential thing you will need is a pair of scissors. Of course, because you're going to have to keep cutting the yarn, making a length of yarn and cutting it when you're finished with that particular one. And of course, the most essential thing is the yarn itself. So you'll need yarn. Now, yarns come in different weights, and if I was more experienced at this, I could give you a dissertation on various weights of yarn and how they look and what size of needlepoint mesh you need with what size of yarn, but I'm not. The thickest yarn I can tell you is what's called rug yarn or craft yarn. Don't get like the fancy stuff that's obviously made for knitting. You want yarn that's kind of plain, not really strange looking. Now, you need a lot of yarn. And hold on, let me show you this. That is my yarn. You need a lot of different colors to do needlepoint, and so you end up buying a lot of yarns. As you notice, all my yarns are in balls. Of course, you buy them in skeins, and I always wind them up into balls because it's just something fun to do. Besides being very practical, it's something fun to do when you have time on your hands. And if you don't have time on your hands, don't do needlepoint because it's something that takes up time. Now, there's a few other supplies I have that are not necessary, but they're nice to have. Especially if you're going to be traveling. These are a pair of folding scissors, and I bought these at a supermarket. And they open up like this, see? And that's a pair of scissors, and they're very convenient if you're traveling. If you fold them up and throw them in the bag, you don't have to worry about the tip of the scissors getting caught in the yarn. Another thing that I really have gotten to like is a needle threader. This one has different utensils on it, but this is the one you use for yarn. And I just stick it through the eye of the needle and pull the yarn in it. It's a lot easier. I mean, of course, it's perfectly possible to thread yarn into a needle without using a needle threader. Next thing is sometimes you have a very tight hole because you've used the same hole maybe 2 or 3 times, and you have to get another piece of yarn in there. And I find a thimble very useful in this situation. Sometimes when you try to push a needle through with your thumb, you really feel like you're going to give yourself nerve damage. So it's nice to have a thimble. And once again, one of the disadvantages of being a guy who does this is these are made for women. They're made for women with very small fingers because they don't fit on my finger. So unfortunately, it's kind of a tight fit. Another thing when you have a tight hole that you're trying to pull the needle through is these. This is a needle puller. And I believe it was originally a surgical instrument, but I bought it as a needle puller. And it's basically a pair of pliers, you see. And it has the ends clip, and it gets a very good grip on the needle if you have to pull through. So, oh, and here's another thing. If you're going to have yarn and you're going to put your yarn in a ball, you must have rubber bands. If you don't put rubber bands around your yarn, you are going to have a very pretty multicolored spaghetti. So remember to get rubber bands and always put the rubber band around the ball of yarn when you put it back in your bag or whatever that you're going to keep it in. And those are my basic supplies. It's great, you know, if you're traveling or you're going, maybe you're going to visit somebody or something, you just have to bring scissors, needle, canvas, and the yarn you'll need. And it's good. You can do this like on an airplane or on a train, but let me tell you, be very organized because you don't want to start dropping needles and scissors and things on the floor if you're in a train or an airplane. So that's about it for equipment. Thank you for watching.